Hi everyone, welcome to our daily view. I'm Nancy. If you're new here, my husband Joe and I we actually have 3 kids, but our middle son Craig was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. He's now 32 years old. He lives with us and we like to share our daily adventures. Craig loves to go out to eat. He loves to go shopping in the right stores. He doesn't like to go clothing shopping. He loves to go to thrift stores and garage sales and the zoo and any kind of place like that. And he also loves to travel. So we like to take a lot of trips and take everyone along with us to enjoy those. So if you haven't seen any of the rest of our videos, check them out. However, that's not what I'm here for today. Today I'm here because Vegega reached out to me and asked me if I would like to do a collaboration for their raised garden beds. If you watch our channel, you know that we do like to dabble in gardening. Last year we used some, I'm not sure if I'd call it a raised bed. It's like a flower box with legs, but we planted vegetables in one of them and we had a lot of fun with that. We planted some potatoes and tomatoes. When Vegega contacted me about this, I was a little concerned about the setup because we don't have the levelest of backyard. So we're setting these up on our side yard, which we will show you. But I did accept this offer and agreed to do a couple of videos for them. The first video we will be doing is setting up our Vegega raised garden beds. We received 3 32-inch beds, and we will show you all of that in just a moment. I wanted to show you. This box came to us via FedEx. It was obviously very heavy. The FedEx guy was kind of huffing and puffing, but got them into our garage. And over the last couple of days, we have unboxed one and set it up because we wanted to give that a try before we actually did a video on the setup. And I'm glad we did, because we did have our share of frustrations doing this the first time. And the second one we do, I know is going to be a lot easier. We even stopped in the middle and watched a video from another YouTuber on how to put them together. That gave us just the help that we needed, and the rest of it was pretty easy. Also, at first, Joe tried to put this together by himself. It's definitely a 2-person job, at least the one we received, because it's quite tall. I will take you outside in a moment and show you just how tall our garden bed is. It took us, I'm guessing it took about 4 hours to put that one together. Now the next one we put together, I'm hoping to cut that time in half and only take 2 hours. The first thing I want to show you is the first step in putting these beds together. When you take these out of the box, let me try and hold one of them up for you. This is what they look like. Well, this is the end of one of them. This is what it looks like when you take it out of the box. They're a nice sturdy steel frame for your raised bed. And when you get them, the first thing that you have to do is peel off a plastic coating that's on the front. Joe was a little frustrated by the peeling off of the coating. He didn't have time for it. So I took over that job, and actually I find it quite satisfying. I timed myself for the last one, which was a straight piece, and it took me probably about 2.5 minutes to take the coating off of one. Now there are several pieces in here. I'm trying to think of how many pieces. Let's say there's 13, so you take that times 2 minutes. I'd say it's going to take you ½ hour to 45 minutes to take the coatings off of all of the pieces. So let me show you how it's done. Now, Joe said in the directions, they tell you to peel this way. However, he had a lot of problem with that. And I found this very easy to do it this way. I didn't have any problems. And I'll just show you what I did. I just start it like this. Get it loose. Once you get this part loose at the top, The rest of it goes fairly easily, because then I think this piece is going to be more difficult. I've never done a curved piece before, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it in one solid piece like I did the straight ones. But you just take your time. It's kind of noisy. You keep peeling it down and see if you can keep it in one piece. And this is what it looks like as you go. So I won't do this whole thing on video. There's another thing I will note. These are sharp on the edges, so you may want to wear gloves. I have not. I'm kind of stubborn like that. I feel like the gloves keep me from doing it as quickly as I would like to. I have not got cut. I have poked myself with my hand a couple times when I wasn't paying attention, totally my fault, but I haven't received any cuts. But just a heads up, if you cut yourself easily, or if you're worried about that, wear some gloves, because these are sharp. So that pretty much explains the first step in this video. So with that, I'm going to stop here and we'll catch you outside putting together the raised garden bed. I did want to add, in the videos I've watched, it looked like everyone was trying to do this outside. And that's how Joe did the first pieces. However, I thought, why do I have to do this outside in the heat? I brought the pieces inside and I'm peeling while I'm watching TV. It goes very quickly that way. So that's just my piece of advice. If you have nice wood floors, I definitely would recommend putting something down, because this could definitely scratch your floors. So just be careful with that. And I think you'll enjoy it more if you bring it inside where it's not hot. Maybe where you're at the climate isn't hot right now, but we're up in the 70s to 80s this week, so a little hot to sit outside and peel plastic off. At this point in the video, we are going to start with putting one of these raised beds together. We have already put one together, so we kind of know what we're doing here. One thing that helped us when putting this bed together was watching someone else's video. There was a few questions we had that not really stated in the instructions. When when actually Joe put most of the first one together, I helped him in the end, and I think it's a two-person job for sure. But it didn't tell in the instructions really where the supports went. So watching another YouTuber's video putting this together really helped with that. I'm going to just set the camera up and you can watch us as we go, and I'll try to explain things, and also Joe will help me out with that too. Joe is working on the ends. The ends consist of 2 curved pieces. In total, there are 8 straight pieces that make the length of the bed. There are 4 on each side naturally. We'll speed this up. We won't show you the whole procedure, but we will explain the steps as we go. I hope this helps you out when you set up your own raised bed.
What you can do is you can put, with my reach, I can get 5 of them down. So I'm going to build the whole thing, except the other end of them, 5 down. 32 inch is more than my inseam, so to get out of it in the end, I have to use a little step ladder inside and one on the outside to step over it. So, but I do 5 pretty much all the way around, hand tighten them so you got some wiggle room on it. I'll put the braces in the middle, how I kind of figured out from the last time where to put them. And Nancy's job is going to be, as we start to put them in, to get sets of the screws and everything, so I'm not going back and forth as much.
Yeah, let me show them what they are. Here's what, this is all provided. You'll have a little bolt or screw, whatever you want to call it. There's the nut, and this is a washer. That's what we're going to be doing right now. This time we decided to do this inside of our garage. We did the last one outside with unlevel ground.
Especially when we got the one in. So I'm skipping one to put one to kind of stabilize it. I saw a lot of people, they've done these on workbenches and just overhung these pieces. You could do that, but then you for sure almost need 2 people to stand that wobbly thing up and hold it while you would put the ends on. So.
Okay. Teamwork makes the dream work.
I don't know what that means.
You've never heard that phrase before?
Makes the what, dream work?
Yeah, it means 2 people working as a team makes things much easier. I guarantee you putting one of these together with 2 people is much easier than 1. Yeah, it's what you want, especially if you have such a big one like we do. Yeah. You can configure these. You could leave out some of the panels and make it shorter, I suppose. But we're doing them full length. These they're 32 inches high, is that right? I think that's right.
32 by 2 feet wide by 8 feet long.
Yes.
Feet to here.
We're going to have a considerable
All right, that's the 5 there.
amount of room to plant some veggies. I'm thinking we'll plant one with just tomatoes.
That's a lot of tomatoes.
I'd like to make spaghetti sauce. Well, you can freeze them. I have never canned before, but I was told last year that you could scald them, take the skin off, and freeze them. And I did that, but we didn't have a lot of... Yep. Oh, I thought you were wanting... We didn't have a lot of tomatoes last year. I did freeze maybe 2 small batches. One of the other reasons I want to raise tomatoes is you could freeze them and use them in your chili. So I've got 3 things to use tomatoes for. I can make spaghetti sauce, I can use them in chili, and I want to make salsa. And if I had lots of tomatoes, maybe I'd even try making a batch of ketchup, because my mom made homemade ketchup once and I loved it. It's not for everyone, but I did really like that. It's one of the reasons I like some of the cheaper ketchups, because they remind me of that flavor. Now Craig, he told me yesterday that he wants us to raise green peppers and onions for pizza. Which I thought, well, that was pretty good thinking of Craig, because his favorite pizza is pepperoni, green peppers, and onions.
Yeah, but I don't think we're in the zone where we can grow pepperonis, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't broke that to him yet. We can't grow the pepperonis. Unless we had a pig. That's not next. Kind of think of what else I'd like to raise, but I think one thing I would like is some lettuce. I love that bib lettuce that you use to make wilted lettuce, and it makes really good salads. If you've ever had the butter lettuce, I bought that at the grocery store before, and your dressing sticks to it better, so you don't need as much. That's kind of what the bib lettuce is like. It's very leafy, loose leafy, not a compact. It doesn't grow in a head like iceberg. My parents raised that every year. I didn't appreciate it really until I got older, though. I don't know if we're too late to plant lettuce, but I think some people plant it year-round, like all through the season, so.
You gotta have shade for it in the summer, or you'll just burn,
Well, I know
burn the top right off.
my parents only grew it in the spring, along with radishes and what else was this? And peas. Yeah, I'd love to grow peas, but we don't really, probably not going to have the space. Plus, peas are, you want those in the spring when it's cooler.
I mean, we're about past like putting in potatoes. We wouldn't get very big potatoes.
And potatoes, if you go to farmer's market, those are very plentiful. So I feel like time and space-wise, probably we're better off to do that. We don't really have any place to keep where the potatoes will keep for very long. My parents had an underground cave, so they were able to keep potatoes for quite a while.
Did you guys call it the cave, or did you call it the root cellar?
We called it the cave. I know people call them root cellars. We just called it the cave. It's where my mom kept all of her canned goods, and they kept potatoes and onions and things like that down there. I think a garden is a great family project. We did some of it when our kids were smaller. Probably Stephanie would have been the most involved, but she was pretty young, so she wouldn't remember. I did farmer's market for I can't even remember how many years now we did that for. Several. We did it until from Stephanie so 8 years. As a young girl, I helped my parents in the garden every year. Like, that was a family thing. Everyone went out and helped to plant. Everyone dug the potatoes. I don't know if my parents ever had us pick like green beans or peas because they were too afraid of us probably ruining the vines. But I remember digging potatoes. And it was always like a treasure hunt. See what was at the end of those roots. And our garden was actually built on the site of an old house. An old house had burned down there. So we found a lot of cool glass in there. I found a tiny little China doll in there one time.
Yeah. And then your dad went to an area, it's called Buxton.
Oh,
if you want to look something interesting up, look up Buxton, Iowa. Buxton, Iowa at one time was bigger than the entire city of Des Moines is right now. People, they have a hard time believing that. It was the first true integrated city, I believe, in the United States. There were African Americans, whites, I think some Hispanic, Asians. They all lived there, all lived in harmony. You were paid and got housing by I think it was
some kind of an industry. Yeah, I think it was. I know that it was a mining industry.
Yeah, and you just lived as a community, and there really wasn't. They didn't have a lot of problems and everything. They had 2 bars in the town was all they had, so
that saved a lot of trouble.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, the story's really interesting.
It is. I remember we watched a YouTube video about it, but I didn't know anything about Buxton until then. I knew about my dad.
He'd go over there and he had permission from some of the farmers because there's nothing left of the town anymore. There's, I think, maybe just like 2 little bits of a foundation that you can see, and that's it. But yeah, I mean, he had talked to relatives that, they had relatives that lived there and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of his favorite spots.
Yeah, but he never found any full like China dolls, but you know how they had those China dolls and the body was like fabric and stuff? Mm-hmm. He found all sorts of the heads and the arms and the legs from those.
Didn't he is that where he found the marbles too?
Tons of marbles. He'd get around where there had been some of the old schools, because they had multiple elementary schools. And he would find all sorts of clay marbles and everything. It was really, really interesting.
While Joe is getting that trim around this, I thought I would just take you out here and show you the one that we've already done. We filled it with compost. We will be taking some of this out. Joe just needed to get it out of the pickup beds so that he can go and get another load. So this is overfilled, because we still need to add some actual soil on top of that. This is filled with compost that we got from our waste authority for $14. That's how much it costs if you filled it over the top. But as I said, we will probably take this, I would say about to this 3rd notch, and fill that up with some actual soil. This is what that trim looks like though. The black trim gives it a nice edge. I'll back up, and there you go. I think it looks pretty nice. You can choose your color. I like the green. This bed is almost planted. Joe's just finishing up with the lettuce down here.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever grown lettuce, leaf lettuce. So.
Well, and my mom and dad, they sowed seeds. They didn't plant plants.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of giving them some spacing. Don't be hating on me. I'm not a
master gardener.
I used to be a really good gardener, but I haven't gardened in so long. And it just starts to make you kind of question. All right, so that's going to make a decent, it'll be a patch. Oops. I'm going to move him a little bit, get him more centered.
It's cool enough out here.
Yeah, it feels nice. There you have it.
There you have it. Now I just need to water
you
it.
know it's buttered.
Yeah, I'll know that's lettuce.
You'll need lettuce in that one.
Yeah.
All right, I got a hose ran around. I'm gonna soak these in good.
A special thank you to Vegega for sending us these raised beds. They have made gardening a breeze so far. Once we got past setting them up, everything else has been easy. Again, if you want to see updates of our gardens, watch our daily videos. We'll be doing updates frequently. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.